True life and music history. The Ants Human Stars podcast. With your hosts, Caleb and Digo. Are you ready? Steady. Go. And now,
For your listening pleasure,
it's story time.
it's story time.
It's story time. Well, for those listeners out there who are like, I wanted, or I expected, or I thought that this was going to be more of like true crime, today's the day.
It's here.
It's here. No, I will always do, I think, a little bit of like crime, but now I wanted to like really tell a crime story. And also, you know, kind of give my 2 cents on women in today's society. And I'm going to focus it on Latin America because I'm here in Costa Rica. And I'm going to bring up an infamous story here in Costa Rica about Carla Stefaniak, a tourist from Miami, originally from Venezuela. And just a few more things about Latin America and women. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. We're just clearing our throats.
Just actually, I'm gonna pour myself a little bit more wine because I'm gonna need it for this. This is a little bit heavy.
It's gonna make me cry like the other one.
Well, it's deep. Women are not safe, no matter where you are. But in Latin America, the danger is extreme and interwoven into society. Men require more sex than women. Men are not to be judged for their extramarital affairs. Men can hit women if he is drunk. Men can control women because love. Women must be subordinate to men. Women must keep the house clean. Women deserve the sexual violence brought upon them for dressing provocatively. Women can say no, but they really mean yes. These are statements that should provoke something in you, make you mad, make you scared. However, in Latin America, men and women perceive those statements that I just said as truth. My sources for these stories are the BBC article Fighting Office Sexism in Latin America by Lucy Sheriff, The Cut article titled Everything to Know About the Florida Woman Who Was Killed in Costa Rica by Ophelia Garcia Lawler, The Costa Rica Star, and the Tico Times. A kind of slang term for a Costa Rican is a tico. Science, the Tico Times. I first defined myself as a feminist when I was 14, recalled Maria Perdomo, known as Mia, to her friends. I was rereading an old diary recently, and it's there. There's an entry which reads, I understand that I am a feminist. The 32-year-old from Bogota, Colombia, has now made feminism her business. Perdomo is the co-founder of Iguales, an organization striving to promote gender equality in the workplace. It's also the home of the first ever gender equality ranking system for companies in Colombia and Peru. Founded in 2015, Iguales began with working with 40 corporations. Now it has 800 and has expanded to Mexico. Perdomo and her business partner, 31-year-old Andrea de la Piedra from Lima, are only just getting started. We aren't going to stop until every Latin America country is under our belt. We have big dreams. Aequales turns a profit by offering training to companies which covers unconscious bias, female leadership, long-term strategies, gender-neutral recruitment processes, and even new masculinity workshops for men that include topics like gender violence and bias. It's a radical approach in a region where many men still believe women don't belong in the workplace. The co-founders faced a lot of skepticism when they launched Aequales, primarily from the business leaders who simply did not understand why it's necessary to implement gender equality. Even when they did understand, they didn't want to pay for it, Perdomo said. Why would anyone pay for gender equality service? Why do we need gender equality? Carla Stefaniak, 36, was reported missing in Costa Rica in November 28th, 2018. Her family launched a social media campaign to find her, begging the State Department of Costa Rica to get involved with the situation. Carla, from Miami, Florida, was traveling with her sister-in-law, April Burton, to celebrate Carla's birthday. April flew home on November 27th, and Carla's flight was booked for the 28th. But the airline says she never arrived. Local authorities later discovered a woman's body buried 200 feet from the Airbnb property Carla was staying. According to Carla's family, who created the Facebook page for her, Carla was last heard from on November 27th when she texted the family letting them know what her plans were. According to the sister-in-law, Carla dropped her off at the airport, spent the night at the Airbnb alone. BBC reports that the owner of the Airbnb and local security guards say they saw Carla get into an unmarked car at 5 a.m. on November 28th. But the family is skeptical of that story. None of us really believe this 5 a.m. story because it doesn't really make sense, Burton told Fox News. On the same Facebook post, Carla's family said that they feared for her safety. Carla's life is in imminent danger, read the statement. The local officials and the U.S. Embassy in Costa Rica will not pursue the matter because they feel she was rational at the time of the disappearance, and she got into that taxi of her own free will. Carla's father and brother flew to Costa Rica to assist with the search. The family also started that hashtag Finding Carla on social media. Costa Rican authorities eventually identified a body that was on the property as Carla Stefaniak. Following the autopsy, the cause of her death was determined to be head trauma. In a statement to the press, Costa Rican Director General of the Judicial Investigations Department, Walter Espinosa, announced that a security guard at the property had been taken into custody for his suspected involvement in Carla's death. Words cannot express the devastation within her family and friends. We want the world to know that we will never forget Carla, said Carla's family in a statement. We will never forget the joy she brought into our lives or how much she made us laugh. We will always be with her, and we know she will always be with us. May God bless her soul. Director General Espinosa revealed the identity of a man arrested in relation to Carla's murder. Bismarck Espinosa Martinez attracted the attention of police when he gave police contradicting stories about when he saw her last. Martinez was also the security guard at Carla's resort in San Jose. That Director General Espinosa said that the crime was sexual in nature. When Carla's body was found, she was partially nude and wrapped in plastic bags. She suffered from multiple cuts on her arms and neck. Espinosa also shared that the Airbnb where Carla was staying, they had found traces of blood and other forensic evidence on the floor. The first witness to testify at the murder trial of Carla Stefaniak was the cleaning lady at the hotel where Carla was killed. The cleaning lady's name was also Carla Gonzalez. Both Gonzalez and Martinez, the security guard, were employees at the Villa Le Mas in Iscazú, which is a small barrio nearby here in San Jose. About 20, 30-minute drive from where I am with no traffic. Gonzalez's best friend, Veronica Martinez, is Bismarck Martinez's mother and had recommended him for the job of security guard at the Airbnb. Martinez was working without a work permit, and he is a Nicaraguan citizen. According to Gonzalez's testimony, she was at her friend Veronica's house when a call came in from the panicked wife of Bismarck Martinez. She said he had confessed to his wife that he had killed Carla in a sexual assault while he was on duty the night of November 27th, 2018. Gonzalez then described Veronica's reaction to the phone call. She cried a lot. She was devastated and told me her son had confessed to a killing. She didn't tell me anything else. She just left in a hurry. Gonzalez went on to explain that only she and Bismarck Martinez had keys to the cleaning closet where the supplies were stored that had been used in a very thorough cleanup of the crime scene after Carla's murder. Carla Stefaniak was a 36-year-old insurance agent from Miami, her family originally from Venezuela, and Carla had come to Costa Rica to celebrate her birthday.
Wow.
She lived to celebrate, but did not live to return home. Her body revealed 3 stab wounds to her neck, 3 to her chest, and 1 on the palm of her hand, a defense wound. Carla's brother Mario Casiendo told the press, "My sister was brutally killed. The emptiness in our hearts will be present for the rest of our lives." The family wanted the harshest punishment for Bismarck Martinez, the security guard, if found guilty. That would involve 66 years in Costa Rica prison. But last week, February 17th, Bismarck Martinez was only sentenced to 16 years in prison after being found guilty of only second-degree murder. On the Finding Carla Facebook page, a couple of quotes read, "This is beyond sickening. This, like many other cases in Costa Rica and in Latin America, are either swept under the rug or minimized in hopes that it will be forgotten." On February 9th, 2020, only days before Valentine's Day, 25-year-old Ingrid Escamilla was murdered by her partner in Mexico. Photos of her body were splattered on newspapers across the country. Days later, 7-year-old Fatima Algriet Anton was tortured and killed, further sparking outrage. Thousands of protesters took to the streets in response to these killings. Outside Mexico's presidential palace, protesters called for the concrete government action against the country's femicide epidemic. They spoke out by throwing paint onto the building and spray painting the names of the victims on its walls. In addition to visibility, establishing a clear legal framework for reporting and prosecuting femicide is important to combating the femicide epidemic. Legally distinguishing femicide from homicide allows for investigators to conduct a more gender-based lens for the perpetrators of femicide and to those perpetrators of femicide to face more distinct punishment. In Panama, the minimum prison sentence increases to 25 years for femicide, 5 more than the aggravated homicide. Honduras punishes femicide with 30 to 40 years in prison, while aggravated homicide is only 20 to 30. Mexico's federal punishment for femicide is 40 to 60 years and the fine, though the Congress is currently voting to increase it to 65. Although it is increasingly common for countries around the world to distinguish gender-based violence from other crimes, few countries outside of Latin America and none in Europe use the word femicide in any legal capacity. In this, Latin America is leading the way, as 17 Latin American countries currently have laws defining femicide and articulating specific sentences. Some, such as Mexico, however, require the crime to involve sexual abuse or for the perpetrator to be related to the victim in order for the crime to qualify as femicide, which I think is ridiculous.
Like a woman dying is a woman dying. Like
it's a woman dying is a woman dying.
A woman being killed is a woman being killed. It's not
right. If you're already defining femicide as a woman being killed,
yeah,
then
it doesn't matter who did it.
What does it matter who kills it? You know. Only in January did Chile begin to include murders by boyfriends, in addition to husbands, in statistical reporting about femicide. So, placing these restrictions on the definition of femicide also restricts the potential response. Defining femicide as the killing of a woman or a girl on the basis of her gender because of XYZ circumstance also segregates these crimes from homicides. And I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if this will lead to a better follow through on crimes against women, or that it will end up being another way to sweep things under the rug. So, long-term solutions should really center around education and gender equality efforts. More education systems are beginning to include gender studies in the curriculum, which educates children from a young age about the concept of equal rights. But many of these programs face backlash in Latin America because, as I've said, patriarchy is rampant. As we sit here and, you know, you're listening to this, I'm talking about it. As we speak, women are being taken, raped, and murdered right now. Legislation, it can help. But when you're faced with real danger, day-to-day danger, night to night, you can't rely on politics. You have to rely on yourself.
And that's why, like you were saying, education and schooling would be very important because that's the thing. You can't how does the saying go? Like, you can't legislate morality, and it's about changing people and their hearts. Not, I mean, the laws are good, but yeah, clearly you need to change the mindset of people to stop it from happening to begin with.
But, you know, I want to drive it real home, real harsh. And as I began, to all women, as I said, you're not safe. You're not safe at the workplace, walking to your car, in your home, at the club. You're just not safe like a man would think so. And, you know, I have a few ideas, a few tips. This goes for men and women, but especially women. One, always be aware of your surroundings. Know where you are. Know where you're going. Don't rely on someone else to know where you are.
Yeah.
You make sure you know where you are.
Very true.
Number 2, imagine you're in a situation where you're being attacked. What would you want to have? A gun, a knife, pepper spray, skilled martial arts training? Whatever your weapon of choice, practice it and make sure that it's actually accessible. And number 3, comfortable clothing. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, being out in public with shoes that do not allow you to run is putting yourself at an even higher risk than you already are. Also, want to end with saying that I, as a man, even a gay man, I mean, I have an ongoing struggle against sexism. I am not immune to the effects of patriarchy, but I do know that I personally renounce the idea that any person on this planet has more or less of a priority than any other person on this planet, regardless of how you look, of how you talk, your job, especially your sexuality. You're not a vagina any more than you are your pinky. I am not my penis any more than I am my nose. What makes you you and the value of you is much more than what can be seen. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe. Know the statistics. Know your surroundings. It's a dangerous world out there, even more dangerous for women.
Yeah.
And I really hope that, I mean, personally here in this podcast, if one woman hears this and one woman does something that, you know, helps her stay safe just a little bit more, then that's amazing, because it's not necessarily taught in schools. It's not necessarily taught in your home. Your friends may not be telling you this. They may be telling you the opposite. I'm here telling you just truth. Like, it is dangerous. You probably will be raped and killed at a higher rate than men, obviously. And certain situations will put you into greater danger. And I think it's good for you to hear that and act on it, because it can only help. And again, it's not being provided necessarily in your social circle or from school.
I think that making sure that you're aware of your surroundings is such a big one. Because I think of even me, like, there's so many times where I'm with somebody, like if I'm with you and we're in DC, I'm like, all right, well, Digo knows where he's going. And it's like, well, no, what if something happens to Digo? And then, like, what are you going to do? You need to know where you are and how to get back to, you know, your meetup point, whatever. No, I definitely think that's
a simple thing. Like you even somebody that you've been with a couple of times, like they say, oh, well, let's go back to my place, and you're heading west instead of east. Simple things like that. Like, you know, it could just something like that could save your life, or could protect you, or whatnot. Just to be, the awareness of surroundings also includes knowing where to go in an emergency, or having some sort of a backup plan to get out of where you are.
And not just being aware of surroundings. Like, I think I think it's important to drive home, be aware of, like, the people that you're letting in your space. And because I totally believe how people say, like, you get red flags. And there's always, I mean, you hear all these stories about, you know, sometimes it is just some random guy, you know, a woman's just jogging or whatever, or walking home or something, and somebody comes out. But then, a lot of times you hear it's like, oh, it's the boyfriend or somebody they were seeing or whatever. Like, and again, it's not just on women, it's the guys too. Like, pay attention to, like, who you're around. Like, people give you those signs of, like, this is not okay. Why is he doing that? Yeah,
Trust
exactly.
your gut. Fuck politeness. If you don't feel comfortable,
get out.
Get out as soon as you
but
can.
Not only get out, but don't feel the need to, like, explain yourself, because it's not only getting out. It's like, oh, well, I feel bad because maybe I left the date last night. So let me go on a date with him again.
And that's what I mean. Like, fuck politeness. Politeness. Just trust your gut. If you don't feel comfortable, and here's the thing: if you don't feel comfortable and you execute some, like, you know, escape plan, and this guy or girl or whatever is actually a good-natured person, and in the aftermath,
you're gonna see that.
You know, they're like, hey, what happened? Like, you know, and you're like, look, I didn't feel comfortable. And they are actually on your side, being like, oh, okay,
like, you were right.
Fine. It's cool. Then that's a good person.
Exactly.
If somebody were to me be like, look, I feel so freaked out with you, I have to leave, I would feel so bad.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would feel so bad. And I would be like, wanting to be like, look, I'm so sorry that happened. I would never want you to feel bad around me. Like, but I wouldn't be like, That was stupid.
Yeah,
You dumb. You're a fool. You know, like I would want to be like, no. I that's the last thing
Like,
I
what
want.
can I?
Like, damn,
Yeah,
I'm
is there
so
anything,
sorry.
I'll give you all the space you need. What can I do to change that? That way of
Right.
thinking.
That's what a real good person would want. And I know that what I'm saying can be taken by some women as being like, why does it always have to be our responsibility to protect ourselves? And
Well, because we don't live,
and I hate that
we don't live in a world yet that men take or as a whole, we don't live in a world where men are gosh, how do you say it? Like they have to take responsibility for their actions and the things that they do.
Because I mean, you hear it all the time, like, oh well, you know, she was too drunk, or she was, you know, alone.
Yeah,
alone. Like, God forbid a woman be alone. Yeah. Like, goddamn, you know. But in the flip of it, like I'm a realist, and so I know, to all women who are listening, I know that a man isn't gonna be the one that's gonna step in and save you in the moment of your struggle. It is only gonna be you. And so that's why it's like, just drive it home. Like, you're the one that's going to save you. You. And do everything in your power to be the one that saves yourself from anything, really. Not just women, everybody, you know, really should take responsibility for your own safety, but especially women who have an entire gender against them. Men don't have that as far as like my physical safety. An entire gender that's against me. Women have that, you know, so it's crazy. So they like men can be perceived as generally dangerous. Yeah,
got a lot of work to do, but I think, and I think it starts, as with everything, with we change the world by changing our own worlds, the small worlds around us, the family, the friends. Having these conversations, teaching the young people around us, making sure they know, like, how to be better and do better. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, fight for what you love, especially for women's rights. Especially for women's rights. I'm really done with this stuff about women being subordinate and secondary and all this stuff. It's bullshit. I have always known it to be bullshit. I don't get it. I mean, I get it and I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it why we're here, but it's really not logical. And, you know, let's put an end to the bitter history of patriarchy. We've done patriarchy for millennia. Can we just do matriarchy now?
Yeah. We gotta.
Why not? I don't mind being completely. I like they say you shouldn't. Like, this wouldn't be the solution to completely flip everything on its heels, and then make women dominant. But I'm like, whatever, you know, whatever. Women be running the world. Hashtag Beyonce.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to the Ants Human Stars podcast with Caleb and Digo. Stay connected and get updates about new episodes by visiting our website, antshumanstars.com, and by subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a positive rating and review, and share about us with your community on social media. Thanks, y'all. We really appreciate it.